Well, it was not too many shows ago that we were talking about $1 million, when we all got in the business, that $1 million was like,
the Taj Mahal.
boom, baby.
Yeah.
And now it's just like a nice middle-class home.
We all wanted to buy $1 million home. We didn't know that the one we live in would become it over time.
Yeah, same as that.
All right, welcome to the Real Estate Rundown. We have some breaking news going on right now. Kayla's going to kick us off here with it. What is it?
Well, the news is about CoStar, which is homes.com, and they're being outed for their claims of monthly website visitors.
Oh, so they didn't have their $1 billion...
So their $1 billion ad campaign
Ad
is
campaign?
definitely driving traffic to homes.com.
But not as much as they said.
Not as much as. So the National Advertising Division, which is an arm of the Better Business Bureau, delivered a blow to homes.com Tuesday, recommending the portal giant halt use of two key traffic claims in its advertising due to a claim. Get this, due to a challenge filed by Realtor.com. Which, okay, why?
Now it's coming.
Okay,
now
we're
it makes
laughing
sense.
because last week news broke that Move, which is Realtor.com, sued CoStar, which is Homes.com, because they were stealing trade secrets. So we can talk about that as well. But really interesting, the portal wars are alive and well.
So they stole some trade secrets on how to like drive traffic or something, and now they're like some type of intellectual property theft.
No, this is an employee for Move.com or for Realtor.com that still had their access to CoStar's information. Oh no, Realtor.com.
Yeah, Realtor.com's information and gave it to CoStar.
Yeah, it gets convoluted. So yes, correct.
Wow.
So this dude, he was working for Realtor.com and he quit and he went and worked for Homes.com.
He got poached.
January, maybe. Who knows? Don't know. Likely.
Did he get a bonus for all that information?
I sure hope so.
Who knows? But yeah, so what they're claiming is that he was accessing company information, really confidential information. One of the allegations is that he actually had a list of all Realtor.com employees and their salaries.
Oh wow.
i.e.
headhunting, poaching.
Wow.
Information on traffic.
He had a lot
of
of
information. Yeah. So
that's why you don't give people that information, right? Employees, right? I mean, was it an HR person, maybe?
no, it wasn't. Oh, that was the other funny thing. I was trying to find
he snuck it somehow.
How did he get that?
I know, especially because Realtor.com is a pretty big
scandalous.
It is.
I mean,
company. He made friends with somebody in HR.
I mean,
I'm trying
It's about to
find
roll
it.
downhill.
maybe some heads rolling here.
That's what I'm talking about.
So in light of this investigation from basically the Better Business Bureau, Homes.com has pulled 2 of their ads.
Which ones?
I don't know yet. This is all just breaking. So kind of reading it quickly.
So they claim that they have 156 million monthly unique visitors?
Correct.
And that's double Realtor.com's traffic.
That's what they're claiming.
I thought Realtor.com was close to 100, but I mean, either way.
The National Advertising Division, it said that it didn't evaluate the accuracy and the validity of the Homes.com's monthly unique user claim. In the past, Realtor.com had been a vocal critic of the validity of these numbers. So Realtor.com is coming after Homes.com. Here's the reality. Homes.com is siphoning traffic.
Absolutely.
And maybe it's not as much as they're alleging, but they are siphoning traffic. And so that's clearly having implications for Realtor.com. And is it fair? Is it fair for Homes.com to hire an employee that worked for Realtor.com and to, kind of gain all of those trade secrets? I'm going to go with no. That's not okay. And I don't know if that's what actually happened, but that's what they're alleging. But I don't think that's
well,
okay.
If there's some kind of non-compete that employee had signed upon employment, then sure. Otherwise, it's a bit of a free market. And some of that. I mean, I know it's
wasn't there a recent ruling on non-competes that basically
basically make them worthless?
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm. We just have a UFC fight with Rupert Murdoch and Andy Florence.
Andy Florence, oh wow! Along with the one with Zuck and
who will
Elon.
win? Yes,
That faded out though.
It'll be
did.
double. Yeah, I think Elon kind of wussed out.
Well,
I think that
which
Rich Barton would be unfairly left out of that.
Yeah.
I think
Rich Barton and Andy Florence fighting. Yeah, I guess Rupert Murdoch is probably old, huh? He's not.
I was gonna
he's not
say, out of all
fighting.
three of those, I got my
And he probably
money
doesn't
on
care.
Barton for
Yeah, he doesn't
sure,
care.
in that group.
Rupert probably doesn't
really
even know what Realtor.com
Oh,
is.
yeah.
you're not. Are you familiar with Andy Florence? I think I would.
Andy Florence is small and like chubby.
What?
Andy Florence?
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's
I'm
not
Small
chubby.
and
just looked at
chubby.
him.
Really?
He's chubby.
I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
not chubby, but not
Well, you have a fat phobia.
sure.
You do.
Yeah, not chubby, but
He's not chubby at all.
He's not.
He's thin.
No. Look at.
Okay, so now I'm Googling full length image of Andy Florence.
Yeah, well, and compare him.
There, in no way would I call this man chubby. Ever.
Okay, not chubby,
Not
but
even on a bad day. Not even after he ate chips and salsa all night and drank a bunch of water and woke up bloated. I don't think I would call him.
I'm talking. I guess. Okay, that was wrong context. Barton, I see is more like I'm sure he's like I think he like cycles and runs and all that stuff. He's more on the fit side. So that I should have
because he's
stated
from
that.
Seattle. Right? He's a cycler.
So
He's a
seriously,
Seattle
though,
cycler.
when we visited Zillow HQ in Seattle, I was shocked at how many people were riding their bikes to the office in the offices around there. So a lot of people do cycle a ton in Seattle.
So funny story. Kayla and I were in Yountville, California, a really fancy place in California, and
Napa Valley-ish.
we were
area.
walking down the. Were we walking or were we riding? Were we riding bikes?
No, we were walking
maybe
through
that's
like a
just-
vineyard.
Yeah.
You were walking.
And
You messaged me. I remember.
this guy comes like on a bike right in front of us and like starts riding, and it's who was it? I can't remember who it
Don't
was.
remember?
I'm blanking now, but I know the face.
It was Spencer Rascott.
Spencer Rascott. That's right.
Well, he was the CEO of Zillow at the time.
And he like he's like, oh, excuse me, and it's because it was kind of a smaller.
And we're like, wait, we know that guy. How
I
do we
was
know
like-
that guy?
And I looked at Kayla and you looked at me. She's like, was that Spencer Rascott?
I legit almost followed him, but that would have been weird because he was on a bike.
Yeah, and he had a helmet on, which is, I mean,
We always see interesting people. So we were at a really neat resort in Sedona about a week and a half ago. And we were walking to the restaurant, and it's like on the creek, and it's just gorgeous and picturesque. And there's all these little sitting areas. And we start like walking past this, we walk past this dude, and I'm like,
I looked at it. I'm like,
that is Damon Johnson from Shark Tank.
John.
Yep, wait.
Damon John.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Or Damon John.
Damon
Sorry,
John.
yeah. I know who he
Yeah.
is. I just like
Yeah,
Hill
from Shark
Figure.
Tank. No,
Tommy
no,
Hilfiger.
Fubu.
Fubu.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. So we walk past and like, and we're like, I'm like, wait, what?
I don't want to like
And
be like, hey, it's Damon John. Like, but
I know. So I was.
Did he have like a bodyguard?
No, he was
No,
with
he was
his
just
wife and his daughter, and he's just chilling there. And then so anyway, we go and we sit down and we eat, and literally like 10 minutes after we got seated, in he walks and literally sits right behind us. So we're sitting in there, and the whole time, all
was
I can
back to
think,
back to Damon
it's
John.
it's just like the Shark Tank music playing in my head.
I know.
and-
We couldn't even talk. We were like,
I was like, oh,
like,
Jay.
Should we pitch him?
Yeah, I know. I'm
Should I
like,
pitch
should we
him?
pitch
I'm
him?
like, hey,
Looking
So
to
I
invest.
got this idea.
It's a real estate technology. It's more of in the formation stage, but yeah.
no, we don't want to bother him.
We did
It's-
not
he was
bother
with his
him.
Kid
Yeah.
and his
And then
wife.
literally the next morning, as we're leaving for a
Yep.
little outing,
They were getting in their SUV.
him and his wife
while
were
we
leaving for a little outing, and
Oh, you saw him multiple times.
yeah, like
Three
we-
times.
yeah, we were like chilling there. It was like a random Tuesday too,
Yeah.
because our daughter was at church camp, so we're like, let's make hay when the sun shines, and so we
Yes, ma'am.
decided to break away. But super random, very very random person to see in Sedona.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah. And Spencer Rascott.
Well, I think
So-
lots of people run up there, right? I mean, Sedona, like you said, it's such a picturesque Zen place, right? There's all kinds of Zen stuff that goes on there.
Very
and-
popular now.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
popular.
10 years ago, you couldn't. I mean,
Got to
there's
align
I
your
mean,
not much in there.
chakras.
20 years ago, it was just a bunch of like farmers and hippies.
Yep.
And they
Stacking
had
rocks.
They had like, yes, they had this glorious piece of heaven on earth all to themselves, essentially. It's just exploded in Sedona.
Yep.
Influencer marketing.
Seriously.
Yep.
I think that is probably one of
You
the
got all
places.
these, every you going around Sedona now, it's like with a
Totally.
selfie and like, hey.
Totally.
How can you not? Even in
it is
you look better
picturesque.
in Sedona.
just
Something
look
about the
better
red
in
rocks and
Sedona.
this. I'm not kidding. Like
Yes.
I
My
look like
color.
a goddess in
It's so
Sedona.
fabulous in Sedona.
Your hair is less humid, not as frizzy, right? You always hear that. I always hear that from friends that come out from the East Coast. Be like, "Oh, my hair is so much better out here. It's not as frizzy." I'm like, "Cool."
We have so digressed. I'm sorry.
We have massively digressed. No, but all of these lawsuits, I think the interesting thing is, and there's another lawsuit. So Easyknock is basically facing a lot of different lawsuits across a few states, federal
Eastern states too,
Eastern
right?
states, yeah. I think Ohio, Michigan, Connecticut,
Massachusetts.
and they're facing a lot of heat over their sell and stay program. And what the regulators are saying is that this is a mortgage in disguise. And of course, Easyknock is like, no, it's not a mortgage. We buy the house and then we just lease it back to that individual.
It's quite the opposite. There's no,
I side with Easyknock on this
I
one.
don't understand why they say it's a mortgage. It doesn't make any sense.
It sucks being the trailblazer in this one, right? Because they're kind of the ones that brought this. I mean, not that it's a new concept, but they blew up the concept, raised a bunch of capital, deployed in, a bunch of markets from a tech standpoint, right? Those of you that don't know Easyknock, they have several really cool programs that are available to, homeowners that essentially allow them to come in, buy their house, cash out, use their equity, in lots of different ways, right? And you could lease back the house on a month-to-month basis for several different terms. With that said, I don't see it at all as a mortgage, right? I mean, just because like one option, you can actually buy back the house, right? You can lease your house back, whatever, and then go get a new mortgage and buy it back from them. There's things like that have happened all over the place with like hard money and people cash out, pay rent.
Hey, regulators will be regulators, right?
Yep. They
got to say what they're going to say. Hey, it's a mortgage.
I think the takeaway is there's a lot of litigation happening right now, not just at the high level of, NAR and whatnot, but also these other companies and a lot happening in real estate, a lot of litigation.
Is it like a diversion tactic though, right? Like I'll admit I'm, probably along the lines of a conspiracy thought. Keith being gone this week, I'll take his conspiracy play. Love you, bro. Is it like a don't look behind the curtain, right? Like a Wizard of Oz trick, right? What they're covering up or what the diversion is, I don't know. And I mean, it's hard when you're talking about all these independent companies, especially with the two behemoths of Realtor.com and Homes.com, right? Like, I mean, honestly, how petty is that lawsuit? Oh, you don't have enough traffic. Your traffic is lying. Oh, okay. Like, that's just like, what do you want to establish out of that? Okay, cool. So we were off by 20 million in our traffic.
Who does that impact?
Exactly.
Yeah. So is it just like unfairly gaining mind share of who? Realtors? Like who is it that this is unfairly impacting?
To Realtor.com, right? Is they're acting like, oh, they're bigger than Realtor.com? Is that
they are acting like they're claiming to be the number two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, which I mean, you throw enough money at anything, you can become number one.
Well, they make money off of realtors, both of them, right? Homes.com, Realtor.com. So as an agent, if I'm buying leads, I definitely want higher, new, better quality leads. And if they're the number two portal, not quite as expensive as Zillow or Zillow, I'm not in the Zillow Flex program, then maybe. So I don't know. Maybe as we talk it out, maybe there is some merit there for them to.
Do you think if you're Zillow, you're so happy about this? Because they're like exchanging fire. You're just sitting back. You get to just go forward with your market plans. Let's talk about the listing showcase on Zillow, because I think that is a game changer for a lot of agents. I really love the enhancements they're making to the listing showcase. It comes up, at the top of the queue when you search. And it just looks cooler. I mean, I don't see how, or I definitely think that this positively impacts agents to be that listing showcase agent. I don't know what it costs.
Oh, I'm sure it costs a boatload. Don't you think?
I don't know. No clue.
Well, with 300 million visitors, right? Going back to visitor traffic, you have to be able, like, you can, as an agent, and you have a good listing or a listing that needs that extra attention. To me, you can't avoid that many eyeballs.
Didn't someone just sell a bunch of Zillow stock? You said just
BlackRock. BlackRock stole. What did I tell you? Like almost 9 million.
9 million shares of
Yeah,
Zillow?
It was just under the
9 million
threshold.
shares?
Like if a company, no, in dollars, if a company sells below 5% of a company's stock, there's an additional reporting. And it was like literally right underneath the 5%.
Yeah, they did
it was
it by
like
design.
4.97% or something like that.
It was only $9 million worth?
I believe so.
That's nothing. I mean,
It was
it's a lot.
Well,
almost
say
5% of the
nothing
company's
for
stock.
BlackRock.
Or
No,
was it-
there's no
was
way.
it-
No, it
That's
can't
not
be
5%.
Okay, so check it out. Maybe
because
I'm-
Zillow's like what, like 30 billion, aren't they? I know their market cap's been hit, but I thought it was actually making its way back up.
I don't know.
I know it has been.
I could look it up real quick. Here.
I'm going to look it up too. I got it right here.
Yeah, because that doesn't seem right.
What am I getting wrong about this?
What are you getting wrong?
Okay,
Zillow,
so BlackRock.
Zillow Class A shares, they are a $11 billion
Oh, geez.
market cap.
So not 30
So maybe
billion.
that is
I was
in
thinking more,
shares.
Yeah.
No, that's shares.
That's shares. Okay.
9 million shares were sold.
8.6-ish.
Yeah, so that's probably
See, check it out. 4.97%.
percent of their shares.
Yes.
Wow.
I know. Pretty insane, right?
Who do they sell them to? To say?
Yeah, you got to wonder why are they cashing those out? What do they say?
What is BlackRock? No.
Yep.
See ownership of 5% or less of a class. So they didn't have to do additional reporting because they were under that threshold.
Wow.
I know. Interesting, right?
Definitely interesting. Yep.
So,
They're going to buy some more Bitcoin.
no, maybe BlackRock's going to buy more houses. They're doing some more
Yeah,
build for rents.
liquidation.
Yeah.
Yeah, super interesting. But before that, I was trying to see what the listing showcase costs, and I was checking Reddit to see if anyone had.
Oh, how much it costs?
Yeah, because it's really cool. It's saying you can a la carte upgrade for around $300 to $1,150, depending on the market. And
For the one listing or all your listings for a set time frame?
well, the a la carte would be one.
Oh yeah, duh.
And then a 6-month subscription in his market was $400 a month.
So $400 to showcase his one listing for 6 months.
I mean, that could be like,
I think it's a game changer, really. And I think that what I also think is that sellers are going to start asking,
Heck yeah.
like, how do I get my house to look like that on Zillow? I know that, doing the Zillow tour also gets you some other cool little like freebies that come along with it. Like they put your picture on the actual display of the listing. They put your contact information on there, and they also use their little AI icon on it. So there's some benefits into doing that as well. But I really think this listing showcase is a game changer for agents. I really do. And of course, it's pay to play. But I mean, let's be real. Zillow's where it's at.
All of it is still pay to play, right? Like to grow your business in any capacity, right? You
gotta invest.
Yes.
So what's going on with Open Doors? Don't they have? They have a platform or a market? I haven't heard.
Exclusives?
lately about that. Exclusives, yeah.
Of course, we haven't heard lately about it because let's be real, like transaction count is low. So they haven't been focusing on buy side.
Yeah, they were supposed to blow up this year on it though.
Yeah,
They didn't quite blow up. Yeah.
it's actually a really neat platform. Let's look on Datador and see.
Yeah, it's very interesting what's going on in real estate right now. It's very it's quiet.
Unpredictable.
It feels very quiet and like.
But yet
still
noisy.
busy. Yeah.
Yes, it's
With
so noisy.
lawsuits.
There's so many lawsuits. There's so much change, setting to take place. I mean, and so one of the sellers in these commission lawsuits filed an appeal and is saying that the settlement amount isn't enough. And so, could that potentially delay the settlement? I don't know. Everyone seems to be just full force ahead with the changes that are coming up August 17th.
So they figured out, I'm only gonna get $3 from this.
Yeah,
this
I know.
lawsuit,
Yeah,
so
no,
it's
like,
not enough. What are
It's
you
like
talking about?
$7. Maybe
All the attorneys are taking all the money.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was going to say. If they go back and get more money, oh, great, their $7 turns into 14. Is this one person thinking that they're going to get some kind of specialized settlement just for themselves?
Who knows?
That's not how class actions work. Like, so they would have to take up arms and fight. Now that once this gets settled, right, they'd have to take up arms on something else and go sue them themselves individually, and that's going to require a lot of usually upfront capital.
So we might see some interest rate relief here. Fed Jay Powell said today that holding rates high for too long could jeopardize growth. So maybe that's like he's just hinting that he might be lowering rates here soon.
Well, hey,
What's the
voting's
spread?
not too far away.
What's the spread right now?
5.62.
No, the spread between.
I don't know.
You don't know what it is
what the spread
offhand.
is.
Let's see.
The spread
Between the Fed and
the 10-year is 4.29. It's up a little today, which I don't know why it's up today. What is the spread? It's gotta be 2.8, 2.7, 2.6.
so like 200,
2.6.
So
260 basis points. Yeah.
So it was, I mean, we were up to almost 400 basis points last October-ish. And so this has definitely been, some relief. Could you imagine rates would be at like freaking 8% if that spread stayed? Interesting.
It's
What is it historically? Do you guys know?
sub-7
Like what
now.
isn't it usually like 500 to or not 500, like 100 basis points
No,
historically?
about 170 on average.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're still high.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still high. But as soon as they start to lower rates, it should come down.
Oh, dude. Well, there's was it Ray Dalio that said something a while back that, I mean, once the rates we're going to drop in like the low sixes where we're at, and it'll bust through.
Shoot, I don't know.
Here's the reality. When we start to get some relief on rates, there's still not a ton of housing on the market. And so prices are going to have some upward pressure.
That's
so
the other issue.
I think that the reality is if you can buy, you should.
But don't you think that
Yes.
when rates come down, more people will start to sell and
trade
and try to move?
But it depends on what that down,
Yeah, true.
right? It depends on what that looks like,
It's gonna be interesting.
in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to see a pretty solid percentage hit in that, right, to actually truly affect the inventory. I mean, you'd have to see it. I mean, I do see what you're saying, Jay.
Yeah, well, and then people have to find another house.
Yep,
So if they can't find another
exactly.
house, then they'll be like, oh, what do I sell? And then they may put their house on the market, but then they don't move because they don't have another house.
Well, and is that seller greed, if you will, going to kind of kick back in, right? That,
It'll be greedy until they can find a house
Exactly,
that they want. I gotta have this house, and then they'll.
Yeah,
maybe
we
lower
see
the
we see
price.
that happen all the time, right? It's amazing what people will do when they see their eye on the prize. No problem, I'll take less for my current house.
I mean, I think it's, I know we can like classify it as seller greed. For me, I just look at it as getting the most amount of money you possibly can for your asset. And if you can get more, why wouldn't you try, right?
I hear that.
I don't know if it's greed.
I hear that, but I guess what I'm saying is where your market is between X and Y, and the Y is really pushing on it, and based on demand or there's a lot of times, right, that I think what I mean is sellers will let their house sit on the market way longer, go through 4, 5, 6, 7 buyers sometimes, and end up biting themselves,
Selling
cutting
for
off their
less.
nose to spite their face. We see that happen all the time. That's part, I guess, what I'm talking about.
Yeah, sure. I think also too that sometimes things surprise you and you have to be open for possibilities. I mean, if no one ever pushed prices, prices would never go up.
Well said.
Right? Like, so I think that it's,
Cheers to the greedy people. And
Yeah, well, I mean,
I
it's
don't-
still,
I
it's,
don't
I mean,
like
it's
that
still a
word.
supply and
I mean, that's
it's a
like-
supply
kidding.
and demand issue.
like,
I mean, it always is.
it's selling for what you're worth, right? It's not greed.
yeah.
Well, it was not too many shows ago that we were talking about $1 million. When we all got in the business, that $1 million was like,
The Taj Mahal.
boom, baby.
Yeah.
And now it's just like a nice middle class home.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty insane.
And a shack in California.
It's like
yeah, well, depending on where you're at in the country.
we all wanted to buy $1 million home. We didn't know that the one we live in would become it over time.
Yes, I remember that.
We were looking at condos in San Diego. I don't know what, like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And they were about $300,000, and we passed on it. And Jason's like, and of course now we're going, that was stupid. But Jason's like, but that was back when $300,000 was a lot of money. And it's so funny to think about, really.
Yep.
Imagine like if you haven't adjusted your mindset to what prices actually are, you would just, you would just be really sad all the time.
Well, I remember during the Great Recession that you'd get that listing that was like 300, 350, and you're like, cha-ching, yes, right? Like I was so stoked.
It's a good one.
Versus those $80,000 listings.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've sold plenty of $100,000 places in my career.
I think I sold a $32,000 condo in Mesa one time. I might have even gone in the 20s a time or two.
Oh, I can beat it. I think that I sold an REO for $14,000.
Oh shit!
And
yeah, and it was a
fourplex,
and I had to give cash.
A fourplex.
And every single unit was occupied.
So we had to do cash for keys for each unit,
and they gave $2,500 per person. So it was $10,000 in cash for keys, and we sold it for $14,000.
So they would have just been really ultimately better giving it to the tenants.
just giving it to the tenants. You're like, here, you guys can have this.
You can each have a quarter
Figure
ownership.
Yeah, it was
come
wild.
up with $2,000.
Do you remember? I feel like that street name started with a B, but I can't remember it.
Oh man,
how bad was it? Curious.
It was bad.
It was bad.
I mean, $14,000.
It was pretty nasty.
It was bad.
But it was.
I'd buy it.
But they're occupied.
I'd say I'd buy it.
Oh, I'd buy it now. Yeah, it's probably worth a couple $100,000 now, or maybe more.
Yeah, that was an interesting story. All right, so what are some parting thoughts that we want to leave today for everyone?
Hold on to your hats, because the market's coming. The rates are coming down, and we're gonna see some more movement. That's my parting thought.
I love it. Yeah. That's a good thought. How about
J Powell says that we are going to come down here shortly.
J Powell says keeping rates too high for too long can have negative impacts.
They can jeopardize growth.
Oh,
I think he's got that administration in his ear saying, "Hey, it's we're not looking so good in the polls right now. We need to do something to shake this tree."
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So I think they meet. When do they meet? In August? When do they meet next? So
I have to consult Google for this.
Yeah. Here's what I got while you look that up. It's, I think a lot of times this time of year, every single year, a lot of agents find themselves in the summer woes where you need to grind, you need to do what you need to do to push your business forward. And it's nicer to potentially go outside, depending on where you're at in the country, or nicer to stay inside enjoying the AC here in Arizona. But I want to encourage you to, like what Jason was just saying a moment ago, to push forward, find a way, do yourself that favor, time block, do your, post on social media, do the things that you need to do to comment, and just make sure that you're continuing to get your message out there and push on. Because I think when you just look at it in a simplistic approach of being on purpose a couple hours a day, when you compound that over time, and especially these, house sales are always busier in the summer, but there's also a lot of vacation, a lot of time off, a lot of distraction. So I just want to encourage you to double down, do yourself that favor. It will always pay off, and put in those couple hours a day that you need to grow your business. Work on your business, not always in your business.
Great advice.
Yeah, I agree. And we talk about what you focus on, you find. So focus on things that are going to empower, uplift, and inspire you, because there are certainly a lot of things that can drag you down right now. So those are my parting thoughts. And we appreciate you guys. Make sure, if you haven't already, to click that subscribe button. Make sure to like this episode. Give us a comment. We love to read them. There was one the other day that made me laugh so hard. I had to share it with Colby. It was really funny. But yes, so leave us a comment, and thanks for tuning in.